Hello everyone, I'm Kelly Manzone. Thank you for joining me for today's class. This month we are pairing stick mobility priming patterns for kettlebell movements. If you do not own a kettlebell, that is okay. You could supplement with a dumbbell, and I am going to give a regression for the kettlebell swing that we're going to be covering in the strength portion of our class. We are going to need one long stick, so either the 6 foot or 7 foot, one short stick, 4 foot or 5 foot. And if you don't own stick mobility, that's okay. You could use a PVC pipe or wooden dowel. You may want a towel nearby. I oftentimes plan more than I could fit into a class, but there is a chance we are going to be in a half kneeling position if we have time for it in the strength portion. So to get warmed up, I highly recommend that you're barefoot so you could really feel the connection with the ground, or at least wearing a minimalist shoe. That's going to be important when we get into our priming for the kettlebell swing and for our Rdl. So this is week 3, and what I'm doing is kind of progressing and revisiting some of the movements that we did in week 1. Starting with our warm-up with our short stick. Go into your stick mobility horse stance, so you're a little bit wider than hip width. Soften into the knees, slight tuck of that tailbone, and we're simply going to pendulum from left to right. Now the camera flips me. This is my left arm, but I'm going to say it's my right arm so that you could follow along. And as you're going into the pendulum, that bottom hand is going to push upward into the stick with just a little bit of tension as we're warming up. I often incorporate the kayaking drills that are coming up weekly because I have to admit they're some of my favorite patterns for priming for anything overhead or just kind of warming up in general. So let's do 2 more pendulums on each side, 1 more on each side. Excellent. Then we're going to take our kayaking into a split stance. Let's take our right leg forward, left leg back. If you are, here we're adding a little bit of instability, so if you are struggling to balance, you could always take that back foot out wider. Park the stick onto your right hip. You're going to push forward or upward into that bottom hand, and then slowly kayak forward. Your chest could come and lean over that top thigh just a little bit, or if you'd like, you could stay a little bit more upright with your upper body. Let's do 4 more here. 1, 2, 3. On 4, step that back right foot forward, and now kayak backwards. Reclaim your horse stance. You could open out a little bit wider with your stance if you'd like. Hips are facing forward and you're focusing on your breath throughout class. I often diaphragmatically breathe when I train, so that's closing the mouth, resting the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and breathing properly through the nose and diaphragm. So you could join me in that. As I'm talking, I'm not going to be able to through this class, but you could practice the diaphragmatic breathing. Take a moment, stick on that right hip. Now this right leg is going to go back into our staggered stance, and we're going to park that stick right on that hip. Start to kayak forward once again. Eyes forward, find a focal point. And again, you're putting about 20-30% tension into the stick, focusing on your breath. Let's go for 4 more before we reverse our kayak. 1, 2, 3. On 4, step forward. You're in your horse stance, and it's just like a backstroke. Up, down, and back. Perfect. Breathing. I got my timer here, so we're just going to go for about 5 more seconds. Up and back. Good, let's do 1 more, and release. Well done. Going into a little bit of external shoulder rotation. I've been doing these a lot lately because I'm training for a kettlebell sport competition, so it's part of my warm-up. So we're going to take the stick into our left hand, and we're going to prime with the right. So you're going to take this stick into the crook between the thumb and the pointer finger on that right side. Bottom left hand, all fingers on the stick, and then I'm gently going to pull down with just a little bit of tension, and then move the stick upward. right here. So I'll just kind of come in for a moment so you can see what that looks like. Holding, breathing, and then gently come out of it, never working into pain, so everybody is different. Excellent. I'm gonna walk in so you can see that. Hold, breathe, just a little bit of tension, not much. That elbow is pointing forward, and release. Good. Shake it out. Going to the other side, doing the left. So right hand comes down. Start with the elbow pointing forward. And in your stance, right, grip the ground with your feet. Begin to elevate that right arm. You're pulling on the stick just a little bit. Elbow still pointing forward. Standing nice and upright. It's got a nice release there. And slowly come out of it. Let's do one more. You may feel a difference between your right and left side. Hold and breathe. Just a little bit longer. Good. And gently release. We're going to place our short stick down. We're going to use that again later. And now we're going to our single long stick. Just want to take a moment to warm up our feet. You're going to angle the stick inward towards you. Let's take our right hand on top. Coming into the horse stance, left foot. Just a little bit of a releve, right? Rolling that heel up into the calf. Really working into the fascia, into the bottom of our foot and into the toes. Switch sides, over to the right. Excellent. Just a few more, and then we're going to add on, going back over to our left side. Release. Now, taking that heel up. Essentially, this movement now is going to be coming from the foot and ankle, not the knee. You're gently going to roll the ankle out to the left, and then inward. Outward. Good. Inward. And you'll feel the pressure go into the pinky toe and then the big toe. Again, movement from the ankle. Excellent. One more inward. Come center and release. Over to our right side. So releve, lift that heel, and then inward and outward. These feel so good, especially when you primarily train barefoot or you do any racket sports or basketball, anything stop go. Excellent. Let's do one more and release. Now we're going into our bow and arrow. Take your stance just a little bit wider than hip width. Stick to your left. Bottom left hand is going to be right where that sticker is. And then the top right hand, the palm's going to face forward with the thumb down. We are going to lead with the hip out to the side first. Then press out with the arms. Doing a little bit of flossing here. So I want you to, again, grip the ground with the feet. Take your tailbone under. You're going to push down into the stick. Then take it forward onto the sagittal plane. And then outward to your side onto the frontal plane. So the chest and the hip line stay still. Make sure your inside shoulder is relaxed down away from the ear. Now hold, angle, look upward towards the ceiling. We'll work a little bit into that front line and slowly come out of it. Up and over to the right. Again, bottom hand finding that sticker. You're wider than hip width. Top left hand, thumb down, palm facing forward. Press out with the hips, then follow through with the upper body. Take that tailbone under as you're pushing down into the floor, just easing into our warm-up here, going forward, then out to the side, angle, look upward towards the ceiling. You're focusing on your breath, so relax. Again, no tension in the neck, and then slowly come out of your stretch. Taking our stick behind our back, heel toe out, wider. Then we're going to hip hinge forward, and I want you to kind of crush the stick. So push into the stick, hip hinge, soft knees. Now this left side, we're going to take it to the floor where you can comfortably, and then you're going to bend into that left knee. Instead of your body weight going forward into the toes, pull your body weight back, angle, look upward towards the ceiling. and then downward to the floor. Again, upward towards the ceiling, downward towards the floor, so you're working a little bit into that front line. Soften into both knees, holding that hinge. Now right side over to the left, and then you're going to bend deep into that right knee. Pulling the body weight back, right? Looking upward, and then slowly downward towards the floor. So we're doing a little bit of neck articulations. You'll feel like you're flossing a little bit more into that upper body, into your front line, through the pec, into the shoulder, and down into the bicep. And then soften into both knees. Come center, slowly come up, heel toe in. We're just going to do a little bit of a hamstring stretch before we get into some of our strength work. So I'm going to go in a diagonal here. My inside right foot is going to stay flat. I'm going to stagger my stance, and my left foot, the heel is going to press down, toes are going to elevate. The stick is going to stay resting on my inside right shoulder. I'm going to do a little bit of like a hinge forward with like a wave and sweep of that upper body. So more of a dynamic hamstring stretch. So I'll demonstrate first. I'm going to create some tension by flexing the right palm, pushing the palm down into the stick, and then I'm going to hinge and sweep up, and then come to stand. Hands going to return to the hip, hinge, sweep up, and then come to stand. So we're going to do 3 on the left side with a little hold and some foot articulations. So here we go. We're upright, and then reach and hinge, sweep, come to stand. Good. Inhale, exhale, sweep, reach, come to stand. One more. Hold. Hand to the thigh, and then you're going to do just a little bit of a wiper. So toes inward and toes outward. Good. Toes inward, outward. So we're kind of getting ourselves a little bit ready before we go into our kettlebell swing prep. Realign, slowly come to stand, switching sides. So now the stick is going to rest on the left shoulder. Staggering our stance, right leg is forward, so the heel is driving down, toes are elevated, you know what to do. So we're going to hinge forward, sweep that right arm, slowly come to stand. Good. Inhale, exhale, slide and reach. If you need a little bit more balance, you're going to push into the stick. Now hold here, taking the toes a little bit out, and then inward. These feel so good. Outward. And again, length through the back. One more. Inward. Outward. Take a moment to realign and slowly come to stand. I should have mentioned in the beginning of class that we're going to need a sidewall for leverage for our kettlebell swing prep. So find your wall, and I'm using a towel against my furniture to keep it safe, so if you have something that you could stick a towel against, you could do that too. I have 2 different size kettlebells here. I have a 12 kg, which is the black bell, and then the silver is 16 kg. So 26.2 pounds and about 35 pounds, 36 pounds. So we're going to take our long stick, right? Leverage it to the wall, facing outward. Your stance is going to be a little bit wider than hip width. We're going to take our left hand on top, right hand on the bottom. So the kettlebell swing is a hip hinge. It's not a squat. And if you're a trainer and you're working with clients that are a little bit hesitant on how to begin with a kettlebell, you could always use this drill to teach them how to properly hinge and to prime them for kettlebell swing. So our stance, we're standing tall, and as I hip hinge forward, my upper body, my arms are going to push into the wall behind me. So this is going to mimic that packing of the shoulders and the engagement of the lats of the swing. And I want you to grip the ground again with your feet. That's why I mentioned earlier to be barefoot. So the knees are soft in your hip hinge, and this is where in the back swing of our kettlebell swing would be loading the posterior chain. in this position, eyes are going to be down on a diagonal, and the length is through the spine. So you want to be mindful of kind of caving in on yourself. So when left hand is on top, right hand is on the bottom. Pack the shoulders, engage the lats. Lift the belly, length through the spine, gripping the ground with the feet. Loading the hamstrings, you're going to push into the wall with about 70% of your strength. Push. And then inhale. On the exhale, come to stand. Now this is going to mimic the top of the kettlebell swing. In the top of the kettlebell swing, you're pushing down into the feet. The thighs are active. Glutes are on. Trunk of the body is on. Rib cage, instead of flaring out or pelvis going forward, right? You're essentially in like standing plank. Now, your kettlebell swing, the posterior chain drives that bell, creates that pendulum. So you're not necessarily using your arms per se. They are active in the sense that they're lengthened, the shoulders are packed, so the arms are active and on, but you're not doing a front raise with the bell. The bell is essentially going to float to that top position, and they're going to follow that pendulum into the backswing. So let's do a few here. Hip hinge, push into the wall. We're going to do a set of 4. So about 70% of your strength, 80% of your strength. Notice where your eyes are. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. Again, hip hinge, grip the ground with your feet. Activate those legs, pack the shoulders, engage lats, push back, hold, deep breath, inhale, exhale, come to stand. Let's do 2 more. Hinge, hold, breathe. Now 80% of your strength, driving back behind you. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. 1 more. Hip hinge, push. Remember all those cues. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. Excellent. Now, we're going to do our kettlebell swing, but if you're not quite ready yet, you could hold your dumbbell to your chest on either side, and then hip hinge, loading that pattern. Another option, if you're not quite ready to do the full kettlebell swing, you could take your kettlebell, take it to the back, your stance a little bit wider than hip width, hip hinge, similar to a good morning, and then inhale, exhale, come to stand. If you're going for the full kettlebell swing, I'll walk you through that now. So a couple of things to avoid is obviously that squatting pattern. We just worked and primed that hip hinge. The alignment with your eyes is important. So in the backswing, you don't want to jet forward with the chin. Eyes are going to be down on the diagonal, chin neutral, then eyes forward on the horizon. Another common mistake, I guess you could say, with kettlebell swinging is the bell being low between the thighs or the knees. The pendulum is going to be high and tight towards the groin, and then you're going to create that posterior drive. And it's a ballistic movement, so it's not a slow pattern. It's that hip hinge, come to stand. So for your setup, you're going to create your triangle. My stance is a little bit wider than hip width. The kettlebell is the tip of the triangle. If you need a little bit more of a cue for your hip hinge, you could take your hands to your hip bones, hip hinge, so you're sending the hips back, soft knees. Take hold of the handle, and you're going to tilt your kettlebell. So when you tilt that kettlebell, the handle towards you, that's where the shoulders pack, and then you engage those lats. You reinstate an open chest and length through the spine. And then, like hiking a football, that's the only analogy I can really think of, you're going to send that bell immediately back into the backswing, and then stand following that float, like so. And then reset safely by taking the kettlebell back into the backswing, and then forward, re-tilting the bell, taking it to the floor. So you have a couple of options, and I know in the virtual space, because I'm so used to teaching kettlebells with people in person or online that I'm familiar with, I want you just to be mindful of where you're at today and how much instruction you've had. So you have a few options. You could stick with the wall. You could use the dumbbell in front for like a good morning style kettlebell swing primer. You could backload with your kettlebell, or you could do a set of swings with your bell. We're gonna go for 10 swings, and then we're gonna move into our next exercise. So I want you to focus on your breathing pattern, and it's okay if 10 swings is too much. You could do a few safely, send the bell into the backswing, and then return it to the floor. So we're a little bit wider than hip width, hip hinge. Take hold of that handle, pack the shoulders, engage the lats. 3, 1, 2, 3. 10 swings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Halfway. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reset safely. Nice. Okay, I'm just going to move this bell out of the way. Grab a sip of water if you need it. I was really excited that this month we were going to pair kettlebells with stick mobility, because I often use stick mobility as a primer in my sessions. Okay, so last week I was a little rushed for time, and we did the offset Rdl, and we're going to do that again today. And if we have time for it, we're going to add in half kneeling overhead press. So I'm going to go on a diagonal here, and this is my right hand with the palm facing up. My right leg is going to be the working leg, and this left leg is the one that's going to be elevating. Before we load it with a kettlebell, I like this offset variation because it's a little bit of anti-rotation, shows you, where to kind of create a little bit of cross-body tension, how to pack that shoulder, and again, feeling that connection with the trunk of the body. So we're going to elevate that left leg, find your focal point, hip hinge forward, and that bottom hand, that bottom left hand is going to drive down, create a bend into your stick, hold, breathe, stay with it. So that left glute is on, the foot is flexed, toes are facing down, inhale, exhale, come to stand. Good, we're gonna do 2 more before we do 3 with the kettlebell. Hip hinge, hold. So that top right arm, I'm kind of packing that shoulder, engaging that lat, left hand coming across. Squeeze, length through the back, no rounding. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. 1 more. So that stick is leveraged on the floor. Hip hinge, put some tension, breathe. Remember that nice length through the spine. Hold here, inhale, exhale, come to stand. Now we're gonna load our pattern. And I'm gonna take the lighter kettlebell, the 12 kg, into my right hand. Your stick now is gonna rest on top of your left foot. So we had some cross-body tension. Now we're gonna create tension on our left side. So the arm stays lengthened. Oftentimes I see people start to bend the elbow. We wanna maintain connection. Similar to our primer for the kettlebell swing. Pack that shoulder, engage that lat. So we're gonna come to stand with our bell into the right hand, find your focal point. Hip hinge forward. So your bell could tap the floor. You could also use your dumbbell. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. Good. Just 2 more, because I know I don't have time for a full set. Hip hinge, breathe, maintain that length through the left leg, come to stand. Good. The right knee, though, has a softness to the knee. Chest stays open. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. Well done. So now we're going to switch And our left side is going to be our working leg as we do that cross body Rdl, and the right leg is going to be elevated this time. So taking your stance, left palm facing up, find that focal point, right arm is going to drive across. Hold here. So this side feels a little wonky today, don't know why. And inhale, exhale, come to stand. 2 more. Hip hinge, breathe, stay in that, right? So that left knee is soft. Keep driving down, feel that connection. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. 1 more. So left knee is soft, right leg's gonna elevate. You start to push down. Remember that left arm is straight, that right arm pushing down, creating that tension. Try not to sink that right hip. Hold. Take a breath. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. Good. Safely pick up your kettlebell and or your dumbbell. Now, the stick is going to be on top of our right foot. Right arm is lengthened. I'm going to stay on a diagonal here. So the left foot elevates. Push into the stick. Slowly hip hinge. Bell could touch the floor or shy of the floor. Inhale, exhale. Come to stand. Love this one. Again, hinge. Right, so we're really working that foot ankle complex posterior strength. Good. Last one here. Hip hinge, breathe. Remember that right arm is staying straight. You're driving down into the stick. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. Good work. Now, I'm not going to don't have enough time to do our overhead press, so I'll move that into next week's class. But we're going to use the leverage of our side wall for a hollow body hold exercise for our core. So take your long stick down and reclaim your shorter stick. So I'm going to leverage against my old strongman Slater log. It's in my living room. Okay, so this is my outside right hand. And we're going to go into a hollow body hold. That right palm is going to push, creating some tension. And I'm going to do a gentle roll inward to the left and then roll back. So before we even begin, you're going to kind of take a second to relax your back. Then you're going to scoop. So once you scoop, you're going to close that rib cage, core muscles are on, elevate the legs. Left arm is in line with the ear. Now, I'm pushing with about 40-50% tension into that stick. I can already feel my core muscles activate and they're on fire. Then I'm going to roll a little bit to the left. Inhale, exhale, roll back to center. So we got 1 more roll here. Push into the wall, roll, you're off that left shoulder, and then come back, hold 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, on 4, relax, draw those knees in. Take your feet to the floor, do a little wiper. So if the knees are going to the right, your eyes are going to the left, and vice versa. Good. So I'm going to pivot and turn around here. Find your spot. So the stick is coming about mid-chest, mid-belly. Okay, so legs on, right arm in line with the ear, pushing into the wall, scooping out the center. Roll to your right, you're off your right shoulder though, hold. Back to center, breathe. 1 more time, roll to the right, keep pushing into that wall. Ooh, I am sore from yesterday. Come center, hold 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, on 4, draw it in. Beautiful. Those are challenging. Simple, but challenging. So your knees are going to go to the left, look to your right, and then shift over to the other side. Excellent. Take a moment, roll onto your side. We're going to start on the ground with our stretching that we're finishing up with class. So I had a couple people DM me and ask if I could bring into the class this week the straddle split and the QL stretch. So, backed by popular demand, we're going to do these today. And also, if you wanted to do a fun overhead press variation, you could overhead press with your kettlebell and or dumbbell in a straddle position. And to prime for your overhead press in a straddle or straddle position, you could use this stick mobility drill. So you're going to flex your feet. The stick is going to go into the arch of each foot. You're going to cross your right hand over the left. If you need a towel, you could sit on the towel. So what you want to avoid is rounding the spine. Having a little bit of elevation could really help to keep the torso upright. Then from here, soften the elbows. You're going to hinge forward slightly with the upper body. Take a deep breath in, and then on your exhale, I want you to point the toes. So your feet are going to wrap around the top of the stick. Take another breath, and then flex. So as you're going through the straddle, you'll notice now after a period of time, you may open out a little bit wider, but again, never go into pain. So elbows bent, breathe, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, exhale, the wrap, point the toes, and then if you'd like, you could hinge forward with that upper body. Hold for a breath or two. Slowly come upright and reflex. So again, you could do like maybe 3 or 4 of those and then go into your overhead press, single bell or double bell in the straddle position. Continuing with our stretching, you're going to flex, keep that left hand on. As you're sitting tall, your right hand is going to reach for the floor behind you. Breathe. Excellent. Right hand comes across now. Left hand to the floor, sitting nice and tall. And again, pulling with that upper body, but you're not kind of shrugging that shoulder up. So keep that shoulder down. You can soften that elbow. And then come back through center. Take a moment, lower your stick, hold on to the backs of your thighs, and just shake it out. So those legs are alive. Now we're going into our QL stretch. I'm going to face you head on. So I'm going to say this is my right leg, left foot. So right leg is long, foot is flexed, left leg, knee is bent, foot to the inside of the thigh. You're going to take your stick behind your back safely. And when you're here, I want you to leverage that left side. What I mean by that is have the elbow bent and then kind of corkscrew the palm so it faces upward. This way you can kind of open up the chest a little bit and work into that left side. Now the right hand is going to find the stick where you can comfortably. You're going to lean into that right side and then lean back a little bit. If you're struggling, if this left knee is popping up and you need just a little bit of assistance, take your right hand and then gently push down onto the top of the thigh. So we want to think of like creating space in this hip and pushing gently, not over pushing, into the stick behind you. Watch what's happening with the shoulder. And again, your neck should be nice and relaxed. And then you could angle, look upward towards the ceiling. Depending on how mobile you are, you could hold low onto the stick and go a little bit deeper into the stretch. So let's hold here 4 counts. Hold 1, 2, 3, on 4. Slowly come upright. Take a moment, lower the stick behind you, shake it out, and we're going to the other side. So now the left leg is long, right knee bent, right foot to the inside of the thigh. Same thing with the upper body. So once you hook it to the inside arch of that left foot. Let's try to get that right side where you're going to corkscrew the palm to face up, open through the chest. Now, if that is too intense for the shoulder, of course you could hold on the outside there and do a little bit of a modification. And then this side I'm finding is a lot tighter. I'm going to take my left hand across, push down gently, and again, work into that QL stretch. Hold, stay with it. If you're feeling good, right, you could hold a little bit lower on the stick. Remember, you're leaning back, open through the chest. Even though you're leaning back, you're also leaning a little bit to your left, trying to keep that right knee down. Let's hold for 4 more counts. Hold 1, 2, 3, and then on 4, slowly come out of your stretch and release. So I haven't done this stretch in a long time, but I really love it. It's the Guitar Hero one that Dennis created a while back. So we're gonna kickstand our right leg out to our side. And then that inside left, instead of the knee, or I should say not the knee, instead of the ankle being in line with the knee, we're gonna simply windshield wiper that back foot. So we're gonna work into that left hip. Stick is gonna come across on a diagonal, similar to what we did in our RDL. And I'm gonna hold the right palm up. That left hand is gonna drive down. As that right hand is driving down, you're gonna squeeze your left glute and take the hip forward. Now, when I say take the hip forward, not arcing into the back, just squeezing deeply, taking the pelvis slight tuck. So left hand comes across, inhale, exhale, now push down. So you're gonna anchor with the ball of that back foot. Oftentimes people start to lean, try to stay centered, and it's a subtle stretch, but it's a great one. So again, push down, stay upright with that chest, squeeze that left glute, send the left hip forward. Hold 4 counts, hold 1, 2, 3, on 4, gently release. Take a moment, and then again, upright, breathe, push. So that left hand is coming across to the right. Again, you're really squeezing through that left glute. Hold 4 counts. Hold 1, 2, 3, on 4, gently release. So this pairs great with like any deadlift series that you're doing, or lunges, kettlebell swings, RDLs. So left leg kickstand out. Right is going to be with that windshield wiper. So instead of the ankle in line with the knee, windshield wiper, so it's inward on a diagonal. Left palm is going to face up. So again, watch your hip alignment, and the right arm comes across, push down, squeeze that right glute. Watch what's happening with your upper body. So think of lifting up and out of your hip line. We're still for 4 counts. Hold 1, 2, 3. On 4, ease off. Take a moment, reset if needed. If your knee bothers you, I should have mentioned it before, you could use your towel to kneel on. Okay, so have your alignment. Tailbone under, right hand coming across, push, drive down. Excellent. Squeeze into that right glute. Hold 4 counts. Hold 1, 2, 3, and on 4, gently release. Take a moment, come to stand, and just march it out. Those feel so good. So march it out for another moment. If you need your towel to kneel on, grab it now. We're gonna go into our stick mobility snake reach. Right leg forward, left leg is gonna be back behind you. And then you're gonna take your stick to the inside of the right thigh. So this one I often pair with any overhead pressing. So Great to pair with a kettlebell overhead press. So left palm is going to face up. If you need a modification for that top arm, you're going to bend the elbow and hold a little bit lower on the stick. Right arm comes out to the side, and you're simply going to thread the right arm through the gap between your shirt and the stick. And then squeeze that left glute, rotate. Such a good stretch. Eyes, look to the side that you're rotating. Breathe into it. Then to come out of it, before we go into the next rep, you're going to just rotate and open into that open hip, the knee that's down, and then inhale, exhale, rotate again into your snake reach. So we're really getting into the shoulder girdle, down into the lateral lines, and into the hip. Hold 4 counts, hold 1, 2, 3, on 4, rotate into that open side, then slide the stick out, slide that top hand down. Take a moment, roll it out. Should be feeling pretty good. Now, left leg forward, stick to the inside of the left. Right arm up. Again, you have that gap between your shirt and the stick. You're going to take your left arm out, thread it through. This side is tight on me today. Breathe. So you're going to angle, look over to your left. Notice if your hip is being pulled out. Try to align that hip forward if possible. Stay with it. Then open into the right, and then inhale, exhale, rotate back into that stretch. Stay with it here, 4 counts. Hold 1, hold 2, hold 3, on 4, slowly come out of the stretch, release, and slide the right hand down, and then roll out that shoulder. Good. So coming to stand, we're now going to go back into our bow and arrow. So earlier, we added just a little bit of flossing, and I want you to feel, after we just did the QL and that snake reach, how much better that bow and arrow should feel. Take the stick to the outside of your right foot. Grip the ground with your feet, left palm facing forward, right hand at the hip line, send the hips out, and now reach with that, leverage that top left arm. Inside right shoulder, again, is relaxed. Breathe, hold here, and then angle, look upward towards the ceiling. Let's hold 4 more counts. Hold 1, 2, 3, and on 4, slowly come out of your bow and arrow. Last stretch, we're taking it over to the left side. You're in your stance. Right palm, send the hips out. Follow through with that upper body. Breathe into it. Take that tailbone under. Angle, look upward towards the ceiling. And we're going to hold for 4 more counts. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, and slowly come out of your stretch. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Kelly Manzone. You can find me on Instagram at Kettlebells88. And this class is going to be uploaded to YouTube later today. It's going to be on the Instagram page also, so if you need to reference it. I'm always open to feedback, especially because we're blending modalities. So you could reach out to me directly, or you could reach out to Stick Mobility with feedback. I'll be back next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And be sure to check out the YouTube channel, because there's also episodes of the Movement Made Better podcast, which are excellent. Dennis and Neil are so good at interviewing people, and they have amazing people on the podcast. So thank you again, and I'll see you soon.